Susie, you want to go ahead and get us started?
Yes. Hello and welcome to the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum for our Columbia Ward 2 candidates and for the Boone County Proposition 1. I'm Susie Adams, and I'm currently the president of the League of Women Voters of Columbia, Boone County. I will be your moderator for the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum and Ballot Issue Forum. The Columbia Public Library is co-sponsoring and hosting the Zoom event. Thanks to Lauren Williams for facilitating the Zoom format. Thanks, Lauren. The League has prepared a voter guide for the August 5th special election, and it is available at lwvcbc.org. And possibly we could put that in the chat. Early voting begins on July 22nd, which is just next week, and continues until August 4th at the Boone County Government Center. Missouri requires that you must have an unexpired Missouri driver's license or a non-driver's license, unexpired U.S. passport, or any other federal ID to vote early during early voting. Excuse me. If you do not have an acceptable photo ID, you can still vote on Election Day on August 5th, but it is with a blue provisional ballot. At this forum, you will hear from candidates from Ward 2. This special election is to fill Lisa Meyer's unexpired term, which ends in April 2027. After Ward 2 candidates speak, Kip Kendrick, presiding commissioner of Boone County, will provide information on the Boone County Prop 1. Our two candidates for Ward 2 are Ken Rice and Vera Elwood. Each candidate will have a 2-minute opening statement. Then the league will have some prepared questions, but we also welcome audience questions in the chat. Following the questions and answers from each candidate, they will have time for a 1-minute closing statement. We will now have closing statements in ballot order. And Mr. Rice, you are first on the ballot. Mr. Rice, you may make your opening statement.
And there you go. So your video is blocked, but now you're back.
Yeah, in your microphone.
You hear me?
Oh, there you go.
You hear me? You got me now? Okay, great. Wonderful. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of the forum today and the chance to speak to the League of Women Voters. To begin with, why I'm running, me and my wife truly fell in love with Columbia and specifically Ward 2. We love the trails. We love the land. We love the people that are here in Columbia. It's just been a blessing that, 3.5 years ago, we moved our family here, and we're truly blessed to be a part of it. I'm the raised and adopted only child of a dedicated homemaker and a union aircraft mechanic, worked for AFL-CIO. When I was growing up, I was seen as a troublemaker and just someone who caused trouble because, later on I was found out that I had ADHD. And those challenges have helped me, navigate through some challenges through my life. After graduating high school in New York, I attended St. Petersburg College and Florida State University. I then proudly served my country as a U.S. Army veteran and worked as a forward observer with the 25th Infantry Division and with in the Gulf War as a nuclear, biological, and chemical NCO. My career spans over 35 years in the restaurant industry, 25 of which in ownership or in chief operating officer positions. I've served currently as a chief operating officer for Pickleman's, the gourmet sandwich shop that now has 33 locations over 8 states. My wife, Rebecca, and I have been married for 17 years. We have a blended family with 5 children, 3 girls and 2 boys, one of which I adopted. For 9 years, I served on the executive committee and board of Spalding for Children, a Michigan-based nonprofit. I also serve in my church as a Sunday school director, head of finance, and a deacon. I believe these diverse experiences shaped me into the leader who understands the importance of community service and resilience, ready to bring the Second Ward to council to serve you.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. We will now hear from Vera Elwood. I apologize.
Thank you so much. My name is Vera Elwood. I have lived in Columbia and loved Columbia for over a decade now. I am a librarian, a parent, and someone who has been deeply involved in the community for that entire decade that I have lived here. I am running because I believe that my experience in public service, my knowledge of the city through serving on city boards and commissions for 2 years, and my deep passion for serving my neighbors is going to make me the best candidate for city council. I'm running on a platform of a Columbia for all. That's looking at a foundation for all, safety for all, and opportunity for all. With a foundation for all, I'm specifically looking at revitalizing and expanding our public infrastructure, knowing that we can't do that if we don't fully staff our city departments. We have incredibly competent and passionate city employees who want to be able to do their jobs and simply do not have the capacity with our current staffing levels. With Safety for All, I am particularly taking a lens of traffic safety, looking at the vision of zero traffic deaths through Vision Zero and the Complete Streets project. Also looking at making Columbia more walkable, bikeable, and accessible through having better roads and sidewalks. With Opportunity for All, I am looking at making sure we are advocating for all of our neighbors here in Ward 2 and in Columbia as a whole. And I'm looking at making sure we are keeping Columbia's money in Columbia by prioritizing local workers and local businesses and removing inefficient and unnecessary outsourcing from the city budget. I hope that with all of that, I can count on your vote on August 5th. Thank you.
I know better than to keep myself unmuted. Okay, so sorry. Thank you, Ms. Elwood. We will now have some league questions, and the audience is welcome to add their questions in the chat below. So to start off, you both have identified affordable housing as a key issue in Columbia. How do you propose that the City Council should address this issue? Specifically, what policies or programs would you support or initiate? And how do you propose to fund your ideas?
Who goes
Sorry.
first?
Mr. Rice, you begin.
Okay, well, wonderful. Well, you made a great point that affordable housing is one of the biggest problems, specifically in Ward 2, that many of the residents are at a place where they may have to spend more than 30%, which is the guideline of their income to afford housing, which is a very big problem. The biggest thing that we have is a shortage of those affordable housing, and one of the things that I'd like to do is develop affordable units, partner with local developers to create affordable housing projects, utilizing city incentives such as zoning, fees, and building codes. Also rental assistance. The Columbia Housing Authority, which is doing a very nice job, we need to work with them to help support low-income families to have that housing. And then also look at reasonable zoning reforms to allow for higher density and mixed-use development near the transit hubs. How we pay for it is a partnership through the with the developers, and we work with them together. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. No, that's okay. Thank you, Mr.
Harder
Rice.
to see.
Yes, Ms. Elwood, would you like the question repeated?
I think that's okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So you are absolutely right that affordable housing is a huge issue, particularly in Ward 2. Also, simply access to housing is going to become a much larger issue. We know from the 2025 Boone County Master Plan that in the next 20 years, we are going to need 30,000 new housing units, and that's on the lower side of the estimate. We are going to be entering a true crisis if we do not see more housing units being built. Ward 2 being on the edge of town, Ward 2 having some space, we are going to see a lot of those housing projects being built. One of the things I would really like to see is mixed density or gentle density housing, where we can ensure that in all of these projects, we are seeing a combination of single family homes, multifamily homes, and more dense projects like apartments being built cohesively, where we can be in a neighborhood together to help serve the population both with affordability and number of housing units.
Thank you, Ms. Elwood. So zoning changes are proposed as a solution to address the housing shortage in Columbia, but they frequently raise concerns with residents, such as increased traffic, a high overturn of residents, and a weakening sense of the community. If elected, how would you work to convince residents that a zoning change is in their best interest? And how would you ensure that the neighborhood voices are heard and that their concerns are addressed? Ms. Elwood?
Absolutely. I think that with zoning projects, this is an issue that we have seen at a lot of city council meetings lately. We have had so many issues where they've been talking about changing zoning, they've been talking about putting in new developments, new housing, and the local homeowners, the local renters, the local people who are living around that space aren't aware of it until it's already on its second read and being voted at city council. We need to work on our transparency. We need to work on our messaging, on making sure that we are contacting local residents before it is coming to a vote. Right now, we are simply putting up that big banner in front of where a new project is going into place. We need to be actively reaching out. We've seen that postcards have been incredibly efficient in making sure that people are heard. We need to be going into those neighborhoods, having those conversations early on, so we can talk about their concerns and make sure that those very real concerns are being addressed in the plan rather than being brought up after the plan has been written and trying to hastily make amendments to it.
Thank you, Ms. Elwood. Mr. Rice?
Yes, it is a concern for a lot of the residents and developers at different times. And the best way that we can is, one, we do need to communicate. We need to have meetings with the citizenship and talk to them about what we plan to do. And one of the things that I think that is really important for them to understand, that a big part of our homeless problem is a lack of affordable housing. When you have a lack of affordable housing, you don't have places and people end up on the streets. When we can create atmospheres where we can have affordable housing, what happens is we can put those people into houses that they can afford. And then we end up where we have less people on the streets, which solves one of the other problems that is really massive in our city, and in specifically Ward 2, is the homeless problem.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. I want to ask a question about public transportation. Public transit remains an ongoing need in Columbia. If elected, how would you work to improve the system, specifically by increasing bus routes and making service more consistent and convenient for residents? And how do you propose to fund these improvements that would come from?
Me? Okay, I just want to make sure. All
Yeah,
right, so
sorry, I'm new at this, Mr.
Yeah, no,
Mr. Rice.
that's okay. So am I. So to start, when it comes, I think we need to look also outside the box. We do need more routes, but that doesn't necessarily mean more routes and more buses. That could be, there's cities out there that use microtransit, which is an Uber-like program where we could have smaller vehicles, a la vans, a la smaller cars, that we could have more transportation. And we could hire more people, because instead of having a bus, it takes a certain type of licensure to drive a bus. To drive these Uber type of vehicles, we could have more people employed and at a cheaper cost. And we'd still be able to provide more transportation to the people that are out there. We also can look at, one of the things I think is a reasonable thing would be to look at the airport. Right now, we charge no money for parking at the airport. We could charge a reasonable fee to bring some money in from parking at the airport that we could pay for additional people and funds.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Ms.
Thank you.
Elwood?
When we look at issues like public transit, the number one thing to remember is that right now our lack of routes is largely a labor issue. We are struggling to hire bus drivers. We are particularly struggling to hire our paratransit drivers because we are paying these positions so low and treating them so poorly once they are in the positions. The number one thing that we can do to increase not only the number of routes, but also the convenience, the the reliability is to make sure that we have people in those positions. So we need to be increasing the wages. We need to be treating the employees well. We need to be honoring fair contracts with our city employees. The number one thing I'd like to do to look at how we can raise these wages, where the money is going to come from, is look at that outsourcing that is currently in our budget. The first thing I'd like to look at is our fleet maintenance. Currently, we are outsourcing a $3.8 million contract for fleet maintenance. That's the price of labor and shipping the vehicles there. And so we could find extra money to fund our bus drivers.
Thank you. I'm going to switch to the environment now. And Ms. Elwood, you have the first question. Do you consider climate change real and an urgent issue for the city of Columbia? If you do not, why not? If you do, please outline your plan for addressing climate change in Columbia, including specific steps and a time frame that you would like to implement.
Yes, I believe that climate change is real. I believe it is one of the biggest issues that we are going to face in our nation, in the world, but particularly in Columbia. We are going to see not only the effects of climate change, but we are going to see the effects of the climate disasters that come from that change. I believe that in looking towards policies, we have an incredible climate and environment commission here at the city, and I would like to follow the recommendations they have put forward, particularly their recommendation to adopt most of 2024's International Energy Conservation Code with a few minor changes, recognizing how Columbia's infrastructure varies from other cities and how we can make it more efficient here in Columbia. I have also been a long supporter of climate forward thinking here in Columbia, and specifically was a huge supporter of the Climate Action Plan in 2019.
Thank you, Ms. Elwood. Mr. Rice.
I think climate change is a real issue. It needs to, it'll affect us, and it can affect us here. And I think climate, though, is important. One of the things I think is more important of an issue that we need to consider right now is the lack of true infrastructure when it comes to our power systems. Our water, we have a water towers that need to be built. They're not there. We have a electric grid that we had a tornado that took out one of the power grids instead of the recycling plant, we would be out of power for 3 to 6 months, I was told by experts. We need to fix these things now. So I think that is more important right now than anything else that we have. Those issues need to be fixed, and we need to put those first and foremost.
So this next question blends both of these issues, the housing and the environment. Mr. Rice, you are going to address it first. Do you support implementing a minimum energy efficient standards for the rental housing in Columbia?
As long as it's cost effective. So if it's going to raise rents, if it's going to create situations where people can't make it affordable, then no, I don't support it. If it's going to be something that is doable, and we can do it as long as we can keep it affordable housing for people and within reach of people, then yes, of course, I would support it. I think it's a good thing to do. But again, I think we have to be practical when we make decisions like that.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Ms. Elwood?
Yes, I absolutely support that. In fact, my father-in-law worked for the state government for many years, being the person who went out and checked energy efficiency in homes. So I know very firsthand, and that I've literally seen him do the work, how much of a change this can make. How much of a change this can make in people's utility bills. They're going to see lower utility bills. They're going to see lower monthly costs on that side, as well as seeing a massive impact on Columbia's carbon footprint, a massive impact on climate change as we see it in the future. So I see minimum energy efficiency standards as a win-win-win for everyone in this scenario.
Thank you. Currently, Columbia does not have a recycling system, as we all know, to adequately address our household waste. What will you, as a member of the City Council, do to move the city forward toward having a viable recycling program as soon as possible? And Ms. Elwood, this question is yours first.
Absolutely. So I think recycling is one of the number one topics on everyone's mind right now. As I am out knocking the doors of my neighbors, talking about the election, recycling is one of the things that we keep hearing about. I was really excited to attend the Let's Talk Local just the other night about infrastructure and hear about some of the potential improvements that are going to be coming with recycling. I'll be very excited to see Columbia eventually move towards an automated recycling where we are using carts rather than those blue bags that can fall apart and blow our recycling into the streets. It's going to make everyone's lives a little bit easier. I think that right now we really need to be focusing on keeping our recycling here in-house instead of the potential proposed plan of sending our recycling somewhere else, sending it to Jeff City, for example. That makes a great interim plan while we currently literally do not have a place to put it. But when we are talking long-term, moving our recycling out of Columbia is not only going to cost us money, it's also going to lose us the ability to see what that end product is, to control whether it's actually being recycled, and to control the quality of that.
Thank you. Mr. Rice.
When it comes to recycling, there was a proposal to build a new super type of recycling plant. And I think those things are, everything's on the table. One of the things I think we have to be aware of, though, is we're looking at a deficit budget right now. We have to think about where all of our money goes. For one of the things I had a little bit of an issue with, we just got vouchers not too long ago to have more, to get more blue bags, which I did find out there's about 4 items you're going to put in blue bags, but still, most of the stuff is going into the landfill right now. I think we're spending a lot of money on something that's not workable right now. And I think we need to make better decisions as a city council about where our money is spent. And what we need to do is make sure that if we're going to do recycling, which I think is a very good thing, that it makes sure that it's cost effective and that it fits within the budget that we're allowed to have.
Thank you. Effective representation includes consistent communication with your constituents. If elected, how would you communicate with the residents of Ward 2? And what specific methods will you use to listen to concerns, to share updates, and to keep people engaged? Mr. Rice, you are first.
Yes, that's very important to me. In fact, during my campaign, I started off for the first 2 months so far. I've had open town halls where they were not only I invited all the people to it, I advertised it, and I also had it online. I think that's important. I think we have to meet the people where they're at. The other thing we have to do is be very transparent. We need to share. So through email, through written communication, we need to make sure we share that information. We need to engage in two-way conversations. We need to be open to taking phone calls, emails. Responsiveness is right there. And we need to be clear and accessible in our language. We need to think about the audience that we're talking to and making sure that we communicate in a way that they understand what we're doing. So making sure that we hear the people and we reflect their values and their concerns is very important. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Ms. Elwood?
I think communication is one of the most important pieces of going up for an elected position, particularly working in local government. Open communication, making sure that you are emailing, that you are holding office hours, that you are always available for contact is incredibly important. But in my opinion, more important is going out and actively engaging with the people who may not ever know what it means to reach out to city council, what a city councilor actually does, what your office hours are. Like I said, I've been a librarian for 10 years, and one of my guiding philosophies in library work has been take the librarian out of the library, physically leaving my building, going to meet my patrons where they were, and actively advertising to them what the library does. I see city council in the same capacity. I need to get out of city hall. I need to be going and engaging with people where they are. If a project is coming to a neighborhood, I want to go meet with the neighborhood association. If a project is going to affect business owners, I want to talk to those business owners without them having to come to me.
Thank you. I'm going to grab a couple of questions from the chat, so I might have to do a little wordsmithing on the fly here. During one of the questions we talked about, Mr. Rice talked about updating infrastructure as a way to react to climate change. So to follow up with that question, could you address, both of you address, how options like solar or wind energy could help with that infrastructure? And I think Ms. Elwood, you're up first, correct?
I believe so, yes. Absolutely. I think that when we are looking at solar and wind and other alternative energy sources, not only can they help bring a person's utility bill down, but they are also helping the overall issue of climate change. They are lowering our carbon emissions. They are lowering the harm that we are doing to the climate. I particularly like projects like, and I apologize, I'm looking through my notes. The Pay As You Save program, where you can get access to alternative energy, where you can get access to energy efficient offerings while actively paying it off. So you don't have to pay that full cost up front. This makes it more accessible to lower income homeowners. This makes it more accessible to renters. And it makes a program like that work for everyone in Columbia.
When it comes to solar and wind, those are options that we can use. The issue with those is those are intermittent sources, so you can't count on them. When it's dark, you can't count on solar. When there's no wind, you can't count on wind. So you can't count on them for the vast majority of where you're getting your capacity from. One of the things we fail to do as a city council is we are about 1 year from failing to not having enough capacity to handle things. If we don't sign a contract soon to have more capacity, we will start having rolling brownouts, and we're going to start having problems like Ward 2. Many of the residents that I'm speaking to have already started to feel that because their capacity is almost at its top right now. And we should have signed more capacity in for a while ago. When it comes to solar, yes, solar, I've looked into it actually for my own house, but you make the investment, which is a quite costly investment, and you don't start to get a real return on your investment for over 20 years. So it really is, yes, it's good for the environment, but it also is not necessarily great for your pocketbook.
Thank you. I'm going to stay on this solar issue for just a minute. The League of Women Voters of Columbia Boone County, along with several other local organizations and Dogwood Solar, launched Solarize Columbia, a campaign just last week. The initiative aims to bring lower cost, higher quality solar energy to Columbia residents and nonprofit sectors through group purchasing. If you were elected, would you be willing to help share and promote the information about this program for your Ward 2 residents and to support affordable local green energy solutions?
I think I was next, or am I?
Mr. Rice, you're first.
So the answer to that is yes. I think, again, though I think there's always, like anything else, good and bads that come along with anything that you do. That I've read into that program. I think it's a good program. I think it's something that people should be made aware of, and then they can make a good decision whether they want to participate in it or not.
Thank you, Ms.
I would absolutely do my best to get the information out to residents and it sounds like nonprofits in Ward 2 and in Columbia as a whole. When I first graduated college and moved into a house rather than an apartment, I was lucky that landlord, apologies, I don't know why it just zoomed out on me. I was lucky that landlord was part of a solar program like that, where he was able to get solar for the house. Those were far and above the lowest utilities I have ever paid in my life. Even on cloudy days, even at night, we were paying significantly lower. The downside to that is that programs like Solarize Columbia, like PAYS, only work when homeowners, renters, business owners, nonprofits are aware of them. So it's going to take a lot of community connection. It's going to take a lot of advertising. And I would love to be part of connecting people to that program.
Thank you. Mr. Rice? You answered.
I think it was the same question.
It was
She
the
just
same
answered
question.
it.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking through my questions at the same
No,
time.
no, that's quite all right.
I'm very excited about this question. And Mr. Rice, you're first.
Okay.
Miss Elwood, you're first.
No.
Miss
I
Elwood,
think so. Yes. Yep.
Yes, I think Miss. Yes.
please name 3 actions or decisions the Columbia City Council has taken in the past 3 years. Why do you believe these were significant, and how have they impacted our city?
Oh, fabulous. So the one that immediately comes to mind is our sanctuary city ordinance. I think this is incredibly important. It made a huge impact on the LGBTQ community to make them feel safer and more welcome in Columbia. I was a huge part of advocating for it, both on an individual level and in my time on the Disabilities Commission, as we wrote a letter of support for people to have access to healthcare of their choice. I believe the conversion therapy ban was also incredibly important at the city council level. The one that we are currently seeing constantly in every single city council meeting would be the recent short-term rental. I forget if it is an ordinance or regulations, that would be the correct word, the short-term rental regulations, and the changes that they are making to try to make this process functional and efficient. As we see, I believe the last I heard, there are still about 450 units out there that have not gone through the process yet. So
Thank you.
as community members at the meetings, you will continue to see that one for a long time to come.
Thank you, Miss Elwood. Mr. Rice?
Well, I'll talk about the most recent one is I think we had a little bit of a debacle with the DEI language. It was voted, then not voted, and then pushed off. I think it shows, again, a little bit of the dysfunction that we have at times where we're not informed of everything that needs to happen because it shouldn't have been brought before it had public comment into it. And it really didn't need to have anything that was done to change it. And at the end, nothing was done to change it. That's one. Number two, the budget, the approval of the 2025 budget was quite concerning. We approved a budget that added an extra 125 new positions, not filled positions, but new positions, along with a 20% raise. While those are things that we are told are necessary, if you don't have the money to purchase and to be able to pay for that, it's very concerning. Whenever we run any type of business, we run a city, we run a household, we have to spend money within the means that we have. And we're just not doing that. And then,
Thank you.
Okay, I got cut off. Okay, sorry, I only got 2.
That's okay. This concludes the question and answer portion of the forum. Candidates will now make their 1-minute closing statement in reverse ballot order. So Ms. Elwood, you may make your closing statement.
First of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters and Daniel Boone Regional Library for co-hosting this forum for us. I know that in a special election, it feels like everyone is scrambling, and we know that includes the people who offer the forums. So thank you so much for putting this together. I believe that with my experience in Columbia, my knowledge of Columbia, and my experience with the city government in particular, I truly am qualified to be the best candidate for Ward 2. And my current list of endorsements shows that many people in the community believe the same. I'm deeply proud to have the endorsements of 3 local unions, including 2 of our city worker unions, LIUNA 955, our Columbia Professional Firefighters, and then our Daniel Boone Regional Library Workers United as well. I am honored to have the endorsements of the Sierra Club Missouri chapter, as well as Abortion Action Missouri, and to have the endorsements of 3 former Ward 2 council members, Andrea Wayner, Rachel Wolpert, formerly Rachel Prophet, and Mike Trapp. I believe that those endorsements show that I have the capabilities to serve City Council.
Thank you. Mr. Rice, you may make your closing statement.
And also thank you, Susie and Carol, for hosting this forum tonight. It was a pleasure to be on. Again, I just was on it for the school board not too long ago. So I'm looking at less talk, more action. I believe the city council, there's a lot of time spent in getting things talked about, not a lot of time spent in making things happen. I believe that coming from a business background, I'm the guy that can help move things along. I want to be the people's voice. I don't have a lot of endorsements. I don't have any political endorsements. I, in fact, turn them down. Endorsements to me obligate you to different people and different ideals. One of the things I do is I sit with Democrats, I sit with Republicans, I sit with everyone across the spectrum that's in Ward 2. And I want to represent the people of Ward 2 and the people of Columbia, not special interest groups. And I will go out and look and talk to them and hear them and work.
Thank you. Thank you to both of our Columbia Ward 2 candidates. We will now turn our attention to the to the Boone County Proposition 1. Mr. Kip Kendrick will explain the ballot issue and what happens if this issue passes. Please put your questions in the chat and we will try to address them. Thank you. Hello, Kip.
Hi, Susie. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the League of Women Voters and Daniel Boone Regional Library for hosting this tonight. It's always great. So just a little bit of background here. An initiative petition was submitted to the Boone County Clerk in October of 2024. This ultimately tied the commission's hand and placed the question, Proposition 1, back on the ballot. You'll remember in April of 2024, Proposition 1 was placed on the ballot by the Boone County Commission, ultimately whether or not to adopt a senior real estate tax relief program. And so the October 24 petition ultimately placed the question back on the ballot for this August 2025. The petitioner clarified in early January that the intention of the petitioner was to include debt levies into the program. And so when Boone County Commission adopted the program on May 30th, 2024, there were 4 exemptions for the senior real estate tax relief program. 2 of those are statutory exemptions. That was set out in state statute. That was new construction, and then any annexations that may happen into new taxing jurisdictions. And then Boone County, along with the vast majority of counties who adopted the program, made 2 constitutional exemptions to the program. The Blind Pension Fund, which is a constitutionally authorized program under Article 3 of the Missouri Constitution. And then the second was voter-approved bond indebtedness, which is Article 6 in the Missouri Constitution. And so the question before voters on Prop 1 is whether or not to place those debt levies in the freeze. The Boone County Commission, our goal at this point is to make sure that this is as minimally disruptive for those participating in the program as possible. And so we'll continue on if and when Proposition 1 passes in August. We will quickly move to readopt the program as amended, including the debt levies. And so just a little bit of background on debt levies. The majority of property taxes that are paid and collected and ultimately distributed out to taxing jurisdictions come from operating levies. There are debt levies currently being held by every school district in Boone County, as well as both fire protection districts. So Boone County Fire Protection District and Southern Boone County Fire Protection District. And so those entities have debt levies. They make up just a small portion of the overall levies. So if you're a resident within the city of Columbia, likely you're only seeing a debt levy assessed as part of that, a piece of that Columbia Public Schools levy. If you're in unincorporated areas or in a municipality that has coverage from one of the fire protection district, it's possible and likely that you're seeing 2 debt levies appear as part of your overall property taxes, which would be one of the fire protection districts as well as the school district with the boundaries where you're set. And so that's just a little bit of background. At some point, there will be legal clarity provided on the debt levies. There is a case that was recently filed, 2 cases in the eastern side of the state in St. Louis County as well as St. Louis City. And so I expect that counties across the state will receive legal clarity, which is good. We all seek that. especially for a complex program such as this. Anytime you're talking about ad valorem taxes, it gets very complicated very quickly. And so I'm happy to take any questions or expand further on anything that I've presented.
Sure. We have a question in the chat, and
Great.
it says, has any research been done into how the schools, hospitals, fire districts, and any other with existing bonds will be affected?
So it's hard to do. It's hard to know at this point. We will begin to see those credits start to appear on the bills that go out this November. And so as bills go out this November for property taxes, those individuals who set their base tax year at 2024 will begin to see credits start to appear on their bill. We don't know what that impact will be for the school districts and for the fire districts. So those entities with debt levies, it's important to note, I think that there's even maybe some confusion amongst the taxing jurisdictions that have debt levies, even though they may pass a no tax increase bond that doesn't necessarily raise their bond levy. They're still going to be impacted by a freeze, because as assessed valuations go up on that debt levy, people will start to see credits back on their bill at that frozen level, which is either 2024 or a base year 2025 at this point. So don't know what the impact will be. We know it will have some impact. That impact will be kind of realized in the coming years.
I also had one question. I feel like you kind of answered it, but I'm going to ask it again.
Yeah.
The question asks, why are we having to vote on freezing senior property taxes again? And isn't this a waste of money?
So the reason, again, why it's on the ballot this August is an initiative petition was submitted in October 2024. Then Representative Sherry Tolson Reich submitted the petition, and the way the petition language was written, the commission couldn't choose to place it on the April ballot. It was written in such a way that stated that it shall appear on the next August or November ballot, whichever one is sooner. I would, I don't want to read into that. I would assume that they were thinking possibly the next primary or general election in an even numbered year, but that's certainly as the case in this, those August odd number years can be elections as well. And so we have had to place it on the ballot for August 2025. I've been asked a few different times what the anticipated cost is, and the clerk, Boone County clerk, doesn't have firm numbers at this point, but we anticipate likely an election cost of minimum 100,000, probably upwards of over 150,000, which will ultimately be paid for by Boone County taxpayers in the form of Boone County government absorbing those costs through general revenue fund.
Okay, I was looking to see if I had any more. I think that's it. I have one more question.
Okay.
Oh, I had a couple of questions. So one question is, how do we, I'm getting a lot of questions now. How can we go against the 2 exemptions spelled out in the Constitution?
Well,
yeah.
So that will certainly, it will likely be resolved by the court system at some point. As I mentioned, there are 2 cases that have been filed on the eastern side of the state, both within St. Louis region, St. Louis County, St. Louis City. And I suspect that there will be additional suits filed as well. And whether or not they get worked out, if it ends up going all the way up to Court of Appeals or potentially Supreme Court, eventually there'll be clarity around what exemptions can be made and should be made as required by not only state statute, also the Missouri Constitution. So Boone County Commission, along with the majority of counties who have adopted a program at this point, and certainly the majority of lives covered under this program by size of county populations, made those constitutional exemptions. But eventually that will be in the short term in Boone County, it will be decided by the voters on Proposition 1. Longer term, it will be determined by the court system on how that program is going to be administered, which isn't uncommon for a complex program such as this.
Okay. The question asked, is this a part of a push to undermine public schools?
Oh, I don't think it is. When this bill, when the original enabling language passed in Senate Bill 190 in 2023, it was part of an overall bill that reduced or eliminated income tax on Social Security benefits, and then this portion of the law, the Senior Real Estate Tax Relief Program, was an amendment added on the Senate floor. There were some drafting issues that counties worked with the General Assembly to get cleaned up in the 2024 legislative session. It was part of Senate Bill 756. And so, Boone County was the 12th county to adopt the program. And so, ultimately by the vote of the people, and have implemented it. We don't know, again, we'll get a better idea what the impact, at least the initial year impact, will be on schools as well as other taxing jurisdictions by this November. And we've already been asked multiple times, that information will certainly be made available to the public as it's collected by the Boone County Collector.
Okay. I have one more question, and then how would this actually impact an individual taxpayer?
Well, so that's a very good question. It will, so the large portion of the credit, if you're a senior participating in the program currently, and if you set your base tax year 2024, you will begin to see those credits begin to appear on your 2025 personal, or your 2025 real property tax bill. And the portion of that, the largest portion of your credit will come from the operating levies that exist, for your taxing jurisdiction. So let's just say you're within the city of Columbia. There's a small portion of that for city of Columbia government, very small portion for Boone County Road and Bridge, the library district, Columbia Public Schools, and believe that's it. Sorry, don't have all the taxing jurisdictions in front of me. The largest of that will be Columbia Public Schools, with over about roughly 82% of that money collected goes back out to the school districts. And so a small portion of that will be the debt levy. We don't know, it's going to depend on which jurisdictions you're in, whether or not you have a debt levy. Again, it's schools and the fire districts currently have those. That will be a much smaller portion of the credit that will appear on your bill, but don't have solid information on what that will be at this point. Okay. It of course it ultimately comes down to what your assessed valuation on your homestead is, on your primary residence is. The larger the assessed valuation, the larger the credit will ultimately be, the way the program works.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Kip, for joining us this evening. This concludes tonight's candidate and ballot issue forum. The League of Women Voters thanks community members for turning in to tonight's forum. The forum has been recorded and will be posted on the League and the library's websites. Thank you very much to Lauren Williams for facilitating our forum, and we encourage you, of course, to go out and vote. Thank you.